We ever had modafinil, armodafinil. It's modafinil? Is that hair stuff? Oh, no, I've never done anything. What, there's a subreddit. I read the subreddit so much now. What is it called on Reddit? It's like Tress. It's Tress or Tess something? It's the hair loss subreddit. Tressless. Bro. Oh, I said this in chat last night. These are like, you want to talk about like scientific communities? If you ever want to trigger people with some pseudoscience bullshit, bro, you come into this subreddit. It's so funny because every now and then you'll see commenters will pop up and they'll be like, have you ever tried rubbing olive oil in it? And oh my God, dude, they get... There's so much insane shit in here. Is it? I don't know. It's people that talk about modafinil and... no, not modafinil. I'm sorry. Fuck. I want to say midazoxinil? What am I thinking of? Minoxidil and finasteride. I think these are like the two big ones that they talk about. And then they do the poking of the hair thing a little bit. That can help a little bit. Barely. What's the poking thing? What's that called? Microneedling. Derma rolling, that one a little bit if you're doing other drugs. This is a sad sub. I don't know, actually. You know what? I actually got a lot of sympathy for I got a lot of sympathy for the balders for a Dr. K video that I watched. I don't know if we watched this on stream or if I just watched it here. What am I does anybody know what I'm thinking of? We never watched it. Okay, but true. Okay, listen. 2 or 3 hours into a trip, yeah, that's how you know that's how you know that it started happening. Is when you look at your hand, you're like, oh shit. That's when you know that shit is getting real. Yeah. Dr. K basically does a 5-minute speech or whatever, but basically, when men begin to bald, it produces a whole bunch of negative, things to the guy. You have a whole bunch of downstream negative mental health effects that happen as a result of that. However, there's nothing, well, hold on, that's not true. I was gonna say, there's nothing you can really do about balding, but that's not true, actually. People respond differently to finasteride and minoxidil. Now, I feel really bad for people in this subreddit because some people respond really well and some people don't respond well at all. See this guy, he's posting his progress pics. That means that he probably responded really well. Jeez, this is 3 months, right? Some people will respond really well, some people don't at all. But once you have, once you start balding, it's just super negative health impacts, it's super negative mental health impacts, and it's socially acceptable and encouraged for everybody to shit on you like crazy. And it's just and it's a huge meme for everyone. Like, oh shit, I guess this is kind of true. It's basically like what people think about fat people, except there's no behavior that makes you bald. You just go bald. And fat people are people are like, okay, well, come on, we shouldn't really make fun of fat people. But balding shit is just the funniest thing in the world for everybody to show up. Oh shit, okay, I guess that's kind of, oh wait, shit, maybe somebody linked it. I think this was posted in this subreddit. I think I saw it here, but.
If you're struggling with balding, we're going to help you. We're going to help you by showing you a road forward. So the first thing that I'm going to say is that I have been working on this for about 3 years. So for 3 years, every 6 months or so, I will sit down and I will look at all of the scientific literature about balding. I'll look for some kind of silver lining in the cloud. Because we know that balding is bad, right?
Destiny, alopecia universalis here. Y'all can shut up, LeMayo. Damn, you got that Dune 2 build. I can sympathize with you because I have the alopecia version or whatever, which is why this disappears sometimes. Yeah.
So we know that men who go bald have it worse. So they're considered...
Am I balding? No, I think luckily I don't. I think I would know by now because you have the Norwoods, the Norwood Reaper. I know all the terminology from this because I went to the alopecia subreddit because I was curious, oh shit, what the fuck is happening to my hair? And I was like, oh shit, that shit crazy. Because a lot of people get fucked with that. And I'm just lucky that sometimes I have a patch that falls out here. But But then I guess once you click on one sub, they start recommending you other ones, and the trust list is the hair loss sub. So now it just pops up on my phone, and I just click through threads because they have good memes here sometimes. Yeah.
Less physically attractive. Another big thing about balding is since it is a relatively uniform experience, it's so common, right? It's not so rare that people do.
What the fuck is the Norwood patch? So I think balding people will measure their rates of balding by, it's called the Norwood line. And I think when Norwood 2 happens, that means that you are balding. Norwood 1 is just like, I think, show your hairline. Yeah. Like I have like, I think mine maybe is maturing, but like I don't have like a balding hairline. But I think at Norwood 2, I think that you get, it's like starting to significantly go in, and then you, like, I don't think this is, wait, this guy said, is this Norwood 2 hair loss? I don't think so. What will they say? Will they say yes? If it is, it's just barely, no? Nah, more like 1.5, yeah. But on that sub, they call him the Norwood Reaper, and he's the guy that comes for your hair. Okay, sorry, hold on. Sympathize with our balding brothers. Are you balding in the back at all? No, I don't think men usually bald from the back. Do they? Or I haven't heard of that for male pattern baldness. I think it's almost, I think it always starts at the front, right? Yes, they do. Okay, every single person in chat is saying yes, but I don't think I've ever seen this ever. Oh, from the crown? Oh, I don't think so. I don't know. I'll check my next haircut, I guess. I thought you meant like like starting at your neck and like balding up. Do you know about the forums where guys try to naturally increase their penis size through stretching? Nope, but dick enlargement is a thing that I never ever have to like go and dig for, because if dick enlargement ever becomes a thing that's possible, then every single person on the planet will know instantaneously. So you don't ever have, that will never be a hidden secret ever. Have you ever heard of Hair Cafe? He goes over hair loss research on his channel, but his political views overlap with yours a bit. Nice. Destiny via a surgery. It's 100% a thing already. I think for surgery, I think there's like a ligament or some shit in your dick that you can cut, and then it kind of artificial. Well, it increases, I think, the length of your dick a little bit, but I don't think it's significant, and fuck all that shit. Honestly, the most dick growth I think most men could do in the United States, if you lose weight and you lose fat off your pelvis, your dick appears longer, basically, and you'll have more access to it because it's not buried in fat as much, right? How do the guys in porn do it, though? What, have big dicks? I don't know. They're born with them?
Less physically.
Will baldness be curable in the near future, do you think? I don't know. I don't know how recent the finasteride and minoxidil stuff are, but these are like, this I think is like magic from what I'm aware of compared to even like 10 to 15 years ago. Don't take any of this advice 100% from me, because I don't do these, so I don't know them as much. I'm just going by what I've read here. But I believe that one of these you can take that will bring hair back, and the other you take and it will it'll maintain your hair. So if you don't start it early enough, you can kind of be fucked. I don't remember which is which. But once you start taking them, I think you have to take it forever. Well, you don't have to, but you can stop taking it, but then your hair will start falling out, basically. But yeah. It's magic for maintaining. If people just started it before it happens, baldness would almost be cured. Yeah, but the only problem is I think finasteride, because most people that are serious about this take oral finasteride. I don't think topical stuff is as effective, but I think it can have some negative side effects. Although I think those might get over-exaggerated a lot, because anytime people bring up the negative side effects on the subreddit, all the posters get super ass-pained and they start throwing links at them. They say that it's super over-exaggerated. Yeah. Do you personally worry about balding? I don't know. I think it would probably suck, but I feel like I'm okay enough that like, I think for me, the most important thing is you just know what's happening. I feel like being in control or understanding what's happening is the most important thing. So like when this alopecia thing started for me, I think the annoying thing for me is I went into like a men's hair clinic and they were like, oh, we just injected it and then you're fine. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I think they injected it and then it like kind of came back. And then it started to go away again. I'm like, wait, am I not fine? And then I had to go and do a whole bunch of reading. I'm like, oh, this is just like an autoimmune condition because my body is like literally dysfunctional. But not knowing or having any idea of like, I don't know what the fuck is happening right now, like is very weird and uncomfortable. But I think if you just know, like, I'll say this, but this is a big trigger. Well, you don't have to do this. Like if you start balding, it's good to know that it's like, okay, I either need to shave it all off or I have to do, or I've got to hop on the Min train and go from there rather than like just not being sure, you know, what's going to happen. But I think that not knowing for sure and then like having stuff slowly creep in on you, I think is really not good. Yeah. What exactly is happening to the scalp/follicles with hair loss? I don't know for male pattern baldness. I'm not sure what's happening there. I know that for the alopecia areata thing, I tried to read one paper on this, but it's like, this is like actual biology. That's too much for me. But there's a signaling pathway that involves JAK, J-A-K, which is probably related to the JAK2 thing from that, from the fake blood cancer that Boogie said he had. But basically what happens in alopecia areata is at times, because all autoimmune conditions are literally just random because it just fucks you from the random dimension for no reason, there will be a signaling pathway in some of your hair follicles on your body. There's a lot of parts of your body that have something called privileged status, meaning your immune system's not allowed to go there because the immune system fucks shit up. The immune system fucks shit up super hard. And when things lose immunoprivilege in your body that are supposed to have immunoprivilege, your immune system goes in and it'll just, basically fuck shit up. So there's some signaling pathway that causes your hair follicles in certain parts of your body to lose their immunoprivileged status. And then they get inflamed because your immune system comes in and it starts like trashing shit. And then as the hair follicles are attacked, they become weaker and then the hair just falls out because you can't support it. And then eventually the inflammation stops because your body gets bored, self-sabotaging, and then it goes away. And then your hair follicles will regrow hair. And then it just kind of does that over and over again. It's pretty cringe, but... Somebody said, your hairline is hella receding and you try to hide it with your unkept hair. Address this insecurity on stream, please. I don't know if it's like young people or if it's people that don't know anything about hair loss, but I mean, like, especially after spending time in these subreddits, it's like, it would be, if I were to walk around and identify somebody with a receding hairline, it would be hella stolen valor from people that unironically, especially the saddest things, you'll get guys in here who are like 22 that are like Norwood 2.5 or Norwood 3 or whatever. And it's like, oof. It's like when people are like, oh, like you must be super insecure about your height. And it's like at 5'8", my friend, no. Like the guys that are like 5'5" and lower, like these are the dudes that have a lot of issues that I would like super sympathize with. Like that's you're getting into like rough heights there, but like at 5'8", you're not having problems like getting laid with like 98% of women. But when you start getting significantly lower than that, then yeah, it gets, yeah. Why don't more of these guys rock a longer hairstyle like yours that would allow them to hide it more? Because longer hair doesn't hide balding well. And it usually becomes really, really, really obvious. I think that balding is something you either have to fashion into or you just shave your head or you get on a drug regimen to stop it. But long hair to hide balding usually looks really bad. Which there might actually be some people, I guess. I don't know if that chatter was serious or not, but some people might think that my hairline is super fucked and that's why my hair is like long and messy. But I mean, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. Some people do it, but usually people can tell and it's not a good look, yeah. Reminds me of, I don't want to make fun of anybody who's balding now, especially after, but like I think Mitch Jones, I'm not trying to shit on his parents, but like Mitch Jones is somebody that had like a pretty dramatically receding hairline and he did the long hair and you could tell like really obviously, yeah. One thing that freaked me out though, because I thought he was fucking trolling me when we did that haircut stream. I didn't realize that I also had like a patch of hair that had come out like in the back of my head here, although it's regrown now. But the barber guy told me on stream, I thought he was fucking with me. He's like, you know, you have like a bald spot back. I was like, okay. But then I checked that out in the mirror later. I was like, wait, what the fuck? And then that's why when I started doing more research on the alopecia, it's like, wait, hold on, it's all my shit about to start falling out. So if you ever see me just shave my head one day, it's because hair came out in a place that I didn't want it to come out on. So I was like, fuck this. There's also a Minox beard subreddit. Well, the only issue is, so there are different types of things that cause balding, and they cause them for different reasons. So like the alopecia areata stuff this is like an autoimmune issue. So any hair regrowth I'm doing, and this is why like I stopped going in for the shots or whatever, because now I realize, now that I understand more of how it works, I'm basically just like fighting my immune system. So when you go in and you get the steroid shots, what you're basically saying is that like, okay, well, your immune system is here trying to fight your hair follicles because it has nothing better to do. So if we inject steroids here, it'll like basically fuck with your immune system for a little bit here so that your hair follicles, and it's like, I don't want to be in this back and forth fight against my bullshit. Like, it's cringe. Destiny, my brother in Christ, download GoodRx. I usually the Walgreens that I go to will let you check GoodRx for coupons. There just isn't usually any good coupon for Vyvanse. I don't know why. It's very rare that there's something available. I gave up and started shaving it at 23. The jokes don't bother me at all, and it's not that often even. As long as you're blessed with confidence, it's fine. There are a lot of bald actors that are looked up to, fear of violence. Yeah, but the only issue is a lot of bald people are also, like, this is like the classic comment, or comic. Like, the bald guys are hot. And it's like, hot guys are hot, you know? Yeah. How much do you weigh? I've been 150 for a while. This is probably like my natural weight that I'd gravitate towards, I would imagine. Do you still get the brand or the name brand Vyvanse? I do, because reading patient reviews on the generics mind fucked me. So... Oh, anyway, here you go. Sorry.
We know that balding is bad, right? So we know that men who go bald have it worse. So they're considered less physically attractive. Another big thing about balding is, since it is a relatively uniform experience, it's so common, right? It's not so rare that people deserve sympathy. It's one of the few aspects of physical appearance that you are allowed to make fun of people for, right? So you can just make fun of people you can crack jokes about people being bald. There's no sympathy. You're the butt of jokes. In the realm of body positivity, like, balding doesn't have a space, right? Body positivity is about weight. It's about curviness. It's about thigh gaps. It's about beards or no beards. But it's not about balding. No one's like, it's okay, like, we should love bald people. No one says that. So balding comes with a huge mental health impact. It comes with a huge societal impact, because it's one of these things that we don't accept. So I've been trying to figure out.
Destiny, somehow this kind of balding looks good. For him, this is also a thing that if I was actually balding, I would be super triggered. Or if I like male pattern baldness, is because fucking random retards online will say shit. I don't even know if I would say Dr. K has a mature hairline. I don't even know if he has an ordinary adult hairline. This is like a fucking teenager. Like, I don't even know if he has a mature hairline. His hairline is unbelievable. This is a godly hairline. Like, what the fuck? Jesus. It's an Indian hairline. What do they normally have good? It's Ayurvedic genetics.
Like, what can I do to help people who are bald?
And he's like, isn't Dr. K like 40 plus years old? They think a big forehead is balding? Oh, maybe.
So I've had patients who have gone bald. Like, sometimes
The chatter forgot to post his image link when he made that comment. Oh shit, was he? Oh, sorry.
I'll prescribe things like Propecia, which is an androgen converting blocker, an aromatase blocker, right? So there are different things that we can try to do to help people not go bald. But some people go bald. A lot of people go bald. And what do we do to help them? So for 3 years, I've been looking.
What are your thoughts on hair transplants? They can be much more common. Do you think they'll get to a point that they're cheap and readily available? I don't know if they'll be cheap or not. It's hard because the selection bias is big on people post obviously when they have good results, but like in that Tress-less subreddit or whatever, people seem to have really good results with hair transplants. You just have to make sure that once you take them, or once you do a hair transplant, that you're taking, is it Fin and Minox for the rest of your life? Because you don't want to have like a receding hairline past your hair transplant thing or whatever.
Looking at literature, and I've been trying to figure out like what can we do. And the science is very, very like disappointing. There's like study after study shows that if you're bald, basically there's going to be mental health impacts. There's this concept of pretty privilege, which is very real, right? So if you're considered physically attractive, it comes with all kinds of other advantages. And so then there's this kind of idea that like as a bald man, you're going to be insecure. Like the world is objectively going to treat you worse. The world is not going to give you sympathy for treating you worse. Right? They're going to say, this sucks for you, and sorry about that. Actually, they're not going to say sorry. They're going to say, ha, ha, ha. Right? Because you're a bald dude. So there's like no sympathy. In fact, we're going to treat you like crap. There's all kinds of self-esteem issues that come with that because you perceive yourself in a particular way. Right? So when you look in the mirror, you see you. But as you start to go bald, you're kind of becoming a new you, but it's not like we're embracing a new you. We're actually just losing a better version of yourself. You're just like losing a part of yourself that makes you more attractive. It's like just a net loss. There's no gain. So this is why I haven't made much content about being bald, because I haven't found an answer. I haven't found a way to help people. Beyond, yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry. It do be like that sometimes. So that doesn't work. Right? Like, I can't just make a video that says, y'all are screwed. I'm sorry about that. And then there's this flip side that's kind of like, and this is true, so we're going to talk a little bit about this. So the real challenge with being bald is not just that other people treat you differently. The real challenge with being bald is that you treat yourself differently. You lose confidence. You feel that a part of your life is lost. And then this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because now you have low self-esteem and you're bald. Right? Which is like either of those is enough to screw over your chances at life. Now, if you're looking at me and you're kind of thinking to yourself, here's Dr. K talking about how we're all screwed. Why is he smiling? It's because for the first time in 3 years, I have found something that blew my mind and that gives me hope. Let us look at science. Okay? All right. So before we get to this, there's one thing that I kind of noticed. Is that not everyone who is bald is screwed.
Oh, this is a much more positive video. I feel like I watched a video, or was this the same one? Or maybe I just didn't watch long enough. I feel like I watched a video of him talking about this that got posted to that one subreddit, and he was basically just like, if you're balding, you're fucked. The mental healthcare outcomes are always bad. There's no upside. It's just, there's no way to get rid of it. You're just completely fucked, and you can try to, whatever. But maybe, oh, wow, maybe we found something.
Right? So there's a lot of evidence that shows that on average, it negatively impacts people's lives. But I have friends who are bald. When I go to the playground with my kids, like...
Oh, wait. Was it this it? But this is the same background, so maybe...
Every 6 months or so.
Oh, no, wait. Is this what I just listened to?
I will sit down and I will look at all of the scientific literature about balding. I'll look for some kind of silver lining in the cloud. Because we know that balding is bad, right? So we know that men who go bald have it worse. So they're considered have a space, right? Body.
Okay, never mind. We did just listen to it. Man, I guess I feel like I remember it being so much more negative than this. Maybe it's just the comments in that sub. Okay, never mind. All right.
30% of the dudes that are bald, but they appear to be just as happily married as I am. I know people who shave their head and are actually in healthy relationships, become successful, right? I've even seen like, you know, everyone's like, oh, women don't like bald dudes. But there's apparently this guy, and apparently a lot of women like this guy, right? And so there's this guy apparently is beloved by women. So clearly, some people manage it.
How is worrying about balding any different than incels worrying about their jawlines? Like it's just genes, why worry? It's just genes, why worry? First of all, that's an incredibly fucking retarded statement to make. But I think the second problem is because of what he said before. Because if you have a bad jawline, you've always had a bad jawline. There would be a difference between that versus like developing a bad jawline, right? Like going from having a good one to a bad one would probably be a lot different, right?
Right? So let's take a look. So how is this, right? So if we look, oh no, I lost my highlights. Damn it. Okay, we'll fix it. We'll find this. Okay. So, but in reality, we see that there are people.
I wanted to kill myself for like a year when I started to go bald. After shaving it, I just stopped caring right away. It was crazy realizing how much time I was spending thinking about my hair before I finally started shaving it. Yeah, I think that there's something to be said for just like accepting a thing and just whatever. I used to say this before for like crisis management. Usually if I'm facing any type of like particular crisis or if anything like weird or dumb is happening, that happens so often. Usually what I'll do is I'll just look at it and be like, okay, what is the absolute worst outcome from this thing? Okay, let's just assume that like that happens. How would we feel? How would we process it? And I'll try to like process everything from there. So that even if the worst outcome happens, like, okay, whatever. Is it really that big of a deal? Fucking probably not. I think that I don't know how to explain this, but there is, let's say that green is the reality, okay? So green is what's actually happening, all right? So something is happening and it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, okay? And then let's say that blue is your expectation for that thing. I feel like this thing where you have an expectation and then things get worse and then you have to readjust your expectation and then things get worse and then you have to readjust and then you have to readjust. I feel like what happens is if we plot our unhappiness with a red, I feel like what happens is as soon as things start to get bad and you have to readjust, you get unhappy. And then you kind of acclimate and then things get bad and you have to readjust and then you get things kind of acclimate. And I feel like this kind of like bad pattern happens where you're freaking yourself out over and over and over and over and over again. Rather than what I said before, it's like, okay, listen, this is the worst things could be. If things are just like this, let's just do this. You have your moment and you take your time and you whatever, but then once you've like processed it, like it's whatever. As things, move towards this condition, you've already like acclimated to this point ahead of time rather than constantly having to readjust over and over again, because I think each of those adjustment things will mind fuck you. They destroy your brain when you readjust over and over again. Yeah, that's how I feel at least, but. It feels like this leads to half-assed efforts. I mean, I don't know what effort you can make here. I mean, you should always, do what you can, but... I mean, like, I'm not saying that, like, day one of, like, AP Physics, you're like, fuck, I did bad. Time to accept I'm just going to fail this fucking class. Like, obviously, this line that I'm referring to has to do with things that are, especially things that are outside of your control. Is to acclimate, or once the thing has already passed or come to pass or happen or whatever, basically. Things, especially things that are outside of your control. If things are inside your control, you should still do as much as you can, but you should also still adjust your baselines of like, how do you expect things to turn out and what's reasonable or unreasonable? All right, yeah.
There are these mythical creatures out there, these bald men that seem to have confidence, that seem to have relationships. And so how is this possible? And that's when I stumbled upon this paper. And let's look at this, okay?
Balding is one of the most inside of your control things. Unless you're talking about pharmaceutical interventions, that is absolutely not true. Balding is probably, at least from what I'm aware, balding is probably almost entirely genetic with almost zero physical or environmental input. Say from like radiation poisoning or something, or like, yeah.
So today we're going to talk about bald and bad. Experimental evidence for a dual process account of baldness stereotyping. What the hell does that mean? We'll explain it to you. Okay.
What about stress? I don't know if I've seen anything that highly correlates stress to balding. Also, I don't even know if I believe I don't know if I believe in stress research. People say the same about like autoimmune things. Like, oh, when you're more stressed, like, how do you measure that? I don't believe you. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah.
Okay. So let's take a look at some of the science on baldness. This is so. One might ask whether balding men are not only perceived as less good-looking, but also less warm and friendly. This is exactly the physical attractiveness stereotype, or PAS. So the first thing that we're acknowledging is that if you're physically attractive, then chances are that people will think you are more competent in other ways. This is called pretty privilege, and there's a lot of like good data to support this, okay? So, despite a wealth of empirical support for PAS, that's pretty privilege, experimental evidence is quite mixed for the domain of male pattern baldness. Now, that's really interesting. Although most relevant...
So would you say if I'm balding, I should see about getting on meds? I think the sooner the better, based on that subreddit that I read. But you should also talk to a doctor or a hair specialist guy or whatever. But it seems like if it's starting to happen, yeah, you have a lot of options initially. But if you wait until you're like Norwood 3 or 4, you're like, fucked. But...
Studies agree that bald or balding men are perceived as less physically attractive, right? Here's a bunch of studies. Only some show analogous effects of the evaluation of social attractiveness. So this is where pretty privilege doesn't seem to translate for bald men. So like there's the physical attractiveness, people are rated as less physical attractive. But something is weird is going on when we actually apply to, is this person likable? Is this person likable? Is this person friendly? Do I want to hang out with this person? So physical attractiveness and how much I like this person don't seem to translate for all studies on baldness.
For someone who considers himself a liberal, I've been completely disenchanted with the woke side of the left and have been intrigued by libertarian thought lately. Can you tell me why libertarianism isn't the way to go? Depends. Honestly, libertarianism doesn't even mean anything these days. I have to know like what you're talking about, and then we'd have to go through specific points, I guess.
While others show no such effects. So no pretty privilege or no discrimination against bald men in other ways, because they're bald. Okay. Now, one of the reasons for this is that these are...
I don't know why we're watching this part of this. Hold on.